Hello everyone, it's Bobby, and these are my final costume renderings for Tartuffe by Molière, set in France in the 1660s during the early reign of Louis XIV. My design approach was guided by the idea that clothing in this period functioned as a visual language of status, morality, and performance. Wealthy bourgeois families like Orgon's household use dress to signal respectability, but the play itself is about hypocrisy, so costumes needed to show the tension between appearance and truth. Before beginning the final renderings, I researched clothing from France in the 1660s. Women's fashion emphasized long-waisted bodices, off-shoulder necklines, and full skirts supported by padding rather than large hoops. Men's fashion was transitioning from doublets to longer coats called justaucorps, with ribbons and lace used as markers of status. My research focused on three main ideas: the 1660s silhouette, including the long bodices and justaucorps coats; the social hierarchy of fabrics, such as silk, wool, linen, lace, and velvet; and how costume can reveal the psychology of each character. Across the show, I used a palette that moves from dark authority colors to youthful ornament, with Tartuffe visually positioned between piety and deception. For the overall color palette, I used a system that reflects both character and power dynamics. Authority figures like Orgon and Madame Purnell use deep browns, blacks, and plums, which signal seriousness and religious restraint. Youthful characters like Demi and Valère wear stronger colors and decorative trim, which reflects energy and social ambition. Women in the household move through softer colors that show emotional tone. Elmire uses elegant pinks and gold tones to emphasize sophistication, while Marion uses cooler blues to represent innocence and vulnerability. Tartuffe is mostly in black and dark tones, but small details like lace and trim hint that his supposed humility may not be entirely sincere. Demi is Orgon's son and represents youthful anger and impulsiveness. His costume uses a shorter coat, an energetic silhouette, to reflect that he is more physically expressive than the older men. The blue coat and metallic accents suggest both wealth and impatience to prove himself socially. I chose rich blues with gold accents because in the 1660s ribbons and decorative trim were especially popular among young men. The lace cuffs and sword reinforce his status, but also emphasize his dramatic temperament. Compared to my rough sketch, I refined the silhouette and reduced some of the extra ornament, so the design felt more historically grounded. Doreen is the household maid, but also one of the smartest characters in the play. Her clothing needed to show servant status, but still allow for energy and movement. I used practical fabrics, like linen and wool, which would have been typical for domestic workers. Her color palette is earthy and natural, which helps separate her visually from the wealthy family members. The apron and bodice are designed for mobility because Doreen moves frequently on stage and drives much of the comedy through her quick reactions. Compared to the rough sketch, I simplified the silhouette so that it feels more authentic to working clothing of the period. Elmire is Orgon's wife and the most composed and strategic character in the play. Her costume reflects elegance and confidence. I chose silk brocades, lace, and pearls to emphasize that she is the most sophisticated member of the household. The pink and gold palette suggests refinement but also warmth, which fits her personality. Her silhouette follows the classic 1660s structure with a long bodice and full skirt supported underneath. Compared to the rough sketches, I refined the skirt shape and added additional fabric texture so that it would catch stage lighting more effectively. Madame Purnell represents rigid tradition and religious severity. Her costume uses darker colors and heavier fabrics to convey authority and judgment. The high lace collar frames the face and emphasizes her stern personality. The black and deep plum palette reflects religious austerity, but the brocade textures still show that she belongs to a wealthy household. Her posture and accessories, including gloves and a cross, reinforce her moral authority within the family. Compared to the earlier sketch, I strengthened the silhouette and added more weight to the skirt to give her a more commanding stage presence. Marion is Orgon's daughter and represents innocence and emotional vulnerability. Her costume uses softer fabrics and cooler colors like blue and ivory to communicate youth and gentleness. This was one of my earlier drawings. I tried to depict elegant embroidery on her underskirt, but I struggled with the details. My skills improved as I went along. Her silhouette is deliberately more demure than Elmire's, so the audience can immediately see the difference between a young daughter and a mature woman of the house. Her posture is more reserved and delicate, reflecting her role in the story as someone caught between obedience and personal desire. Compared to the original sketch, I softened the silhouette and added lace details to reinforce her romantic storyline. Orgon is the patriarch of the household and the character most easily manipulated by Tartuffe. His costume uses dark, conservative colors and heavy fabrics to signal authority and seriousness. The long coat and structured silhouette reinforce his social power and rigid worldview. However, his clothing is still expensive, showing that he is a wealthy bourgeois man who cares about status and reputation. Compared to the rough design, I simplified some of the trim, focused on the coat silhouette so that it reads clearly from a distance on stage. Tartuffe is the central antagonist of the play and a religious hypocrite. His costume is designed to look humble at first glance. The dark robe and minimal decorations suggest piety and restraint. However, small details such as lace and fine fabric hint that his humility may be performative rather than genuine. The long flowing silhouette also allows the actor to hide gestures inside the sleeves, reinforcing the idea that Tartuffe is always concealing something. Compared to the rough sketch, I refined the robe and simplified the design so it would feel more believable historically. I also added a smaller rendering depicting what's under the robe, but technically, we never see what's under the robe. If I were directing this play, I might suggest the actor wear something scandalous underneath. Val-Air is Marianne's fiancé and represents youthful pride and romantic passion. His costume uses richer reds and gold accents to show confidence and social ambition. Compared to Demi, Val-Air appears more polished and fashionable, reflecting his personality and his desire to present himself well. The bright color also contrasts with the darker palette used for the older authority figures. I refined the coat and hat design from my rough sketch to better match the Justicore silhouette that became popular in the late 1660s. Overall, I'm proud of my research, designs, and also surprised by my drawing, something I had no idea I was capable of before. During the process, I also learned when to stop revising. There are a few imperfections: Elmire's paint spill, Marianne's slightly messy embroidery, and Tartuffe's unexpectedly large eyes. But at some point, the practical student had to override the perfectionist and submit the work. Hopefully, my designs will be worthy of academic consideration, even if not for actual construction. Needless to say, my heartfelt thanks to Professor Heather Tomlinson for your guidance, inspiration, and patience with me during this class. I've learned so much by designing this show, and it has been my honor and pleasure to learn alongside you all. Thank you.